Hello ladies, gentlemen, boys, girls, innies, outies, and in between us. My name's Dan. Welcome back to another PAP Reports. Today is Tuesday, April the 7th, 2020, and today we're starting with an explanation to something I reported on yesterday. In yesterday's report, I spoke about how I had contacted NHS and Public Health England regarding the transmittance of coronavirus on the breath. Since then, I have had a lot of people who have offered links that, on the face of it, seem to contradict my report. Most of the links that I've seen been sent by people, I've already seen them and took that into account with the information that I passed to you in that report. However, although many of the headlines for these reports that contradict me, or at least seem to contradict me on the surface, are in fact reports that suggest breathing may be a transference mechanism. However, this is at the moment untested and unproven. There is no evidence to prove that this is the case. I also said that a virus that is described as being so virulent, one of the first things to test is the transference mechanisms, whether that be from respiratory droplets, contact transference, or even as a bioaerosol. And thus far, there has been zero evidence to prove it can be transferred by breath. For example, in the sciencealert.com website, it says, can you get COVID-19 from these bioaerosols? The answer has important implications for healthcare workers and others working in close proximity to those who are sick, and researchers are scrambling to work it out. One way to test this is to take samples from the air itself and see whether there are any viral RNA particles floating around. In one preprint article, researchers found SARS-CoV-2 particles in both air and surface samples taken in isolation rooms where COVID-19 patients had been staying. But another study published in Infection Control and Hospital Epidemiology found no viral particles when collecting air samples just 10 centimetres, that's 4 inches, from the chins of COVID-19 patients. It's worth noting that the paper only looked at 8 air samples, however. So what does that mean? The US National Research Council last week told government officials that it is possible bioaerosols are partly to blame for the virus's ability to rapidly spread. So as I said yesterday, it is potentially transferable, however, potentially cannot be used as a fact when dealing with a conviction. I could potentially go and strangle somebody, like them upstairs for making so much noise. But should I be charged with assault because I could do it? Clearly not. Only when there is evidence that something has or can take place should action be taken. Therefore, my report was not incorrect or misleading. It was based solely on the facts that I have been able to gather. I'm not suggesting that those of you who sent me links are wrong. But again, bioaerosol transmission is currently not proven for COVID-19, and many of the reports sent to me have used clickbait headlines to draw people in to read them. If and when I find it is proven that it can be transferred by the breath, then of course I will retract my previous statement. But I can only work on what evidence there is at the time, and as transmission via breath is not a tested or proven method of transference, then it should, for now at least, not be used to lock people up, in my opinion. Yesterday was the Skype-held misconduct hearing for ex-Avon and Somerset PC Mark Stickley. Mark Stickley was called to an incident in October 2018 where a woman said her ex-partner had broken into her house and punched her head into a wall. Stickley apparently dismissed the allegation and claimed that she was playing a game. Representing the Avon and Somerset Police Force, Anthony Searle said it was unprofessional and insensitive when Mr. Stickley disputed that there had been any violence. He said she was anti-men and Miss A was playing a game with them. He said Mr. P, the alleged assailant, hadn't been violent when he'd just been told he had been. He didn't have to accept what Miss A said as true, but he should have treated it seriously. He said his time had been wasted because Miss A was being unreasonable and he, as in Stickley, needed to go to bed. Mr. Stickley failed to treat Miss A fairly or show her empathy as a potential victim of domestic violence, said Mr. Searle. The officer's report later called Miss A so-called victim. And this is all very interesting to me, especially seeing as Mark Stickley had an unblemished 27-year record and had been instrumental, apparently, in getting body-worn cameras used in domestic abuse cases, which this was. The Professional Standards panel said PC Stickley would have been dismissed if he had not already resigned, which is gratifying to hear, seeing as long unblemished records seem to often be taken into account when police are under investigation. Former Detective Constable Stuart Lunt from Lancashire Police pleaded guilty to misconduct in a public office, an offence at common law which carries a maximum sentence of life imprisonment, has been allowed to walk from court after exploiting and engaging in inappropriate contact with 4 vulnerable women who he met in the course of his duties as either complainants or as witnesses. Liverpool Crown Court was told the married father of 2 gained their trust and used it to his advantage as he attempted to engage in sexual relations with them and did so with one of the victims. Laura Nash, defending, asked Judge David Albury QC to consider exceptional circumstances in suspending a custodial sentence in what she said were exceptional times. Miss Nash explained that Lunt's wife was a designated key worker who was employed as a deputy manager at a preschool nursery, and there was no one else available to look after their youngest child if Lunt was sent to jail. Sentencing Lunt, Judge Albury said, in the particular circumstances of the case, and at a time of deep concern in the judgment of the court, the balance weighs just in favour of suspending the custodial sentence. Therefore, Lunt, who was up on a charge that carries a maximum of life imprisonment, was of course given 18 months in jail, suspended for 2 years, also ordered that he must also perform 250 hours of unpaid work, which clearly isn't going to happen anytime soon, as nobody's going to give community service to somebody for a key worker role. Another former police constable, this time from Lincolnshire, and this is an update from a previous report from the 1st of April. Former Special Constable Carl Norman was alleged to have driven his car after deciding not to tax it and then lied to a senior officer when charged about it because the schmuck told a colleague what he had done and got grassed up. It was alleged that in June last year, Carl Norman drove a vehicle on a public road despite knowing it had not been taxed, and that this had been done deliberately to avoid paying the tax. On June the 30th, 2019, he was alleged to have told a colleague he had driven to work with no tax, but denied this when he was questioned by his supervisor. It is also alleged that at a misconduct interview on December the 10th last year, he initially claimed that he had simply forgotten to tax his vehicle. The hearing, which took place on the 3rd of April, found that he had breached standards of honesty and integrity and discreditable conduct in a way that would have amounted to gross misconduct. Had he not already left the force, he would have been dismissed. But instead, because these misconduct hearings are ultimately a pointless exercise for those who are told to leave before the misconduct hearings are heard, he basically gets away with his misconduct. Although it has been said that he is to be placed on the College of Policing's barred list. Chief Constable Bill Skelly, who chaired the hearing, said Norman's actions were serious and unacceptable. The ethical values of Lincolnshire Police are professionalism, respect, integrity, dedication and empathy, he said. It is vital that members of the force understand these values from the outset. This includes their behaviour when dealing with members of the public and other colleagues in the force. It is clear to me from the evidence presented today and contained in the case file bundle that the actions of Carl Norman were serious and unacceptable. There is a reasonable and clear expectation on the part of the force that he must act lawfully and always be truthful. What a fucking joke. In failing to tax his vehicle and then provide 2 dishonest accounts, his conduct obviously lacked honesty and integrity and therefore was discreditable. 22-year-old Nicholas Bellend, an NHS security guard working at the Princess Alexandra Hospital in Harlow, Essex, where my youngest boys were born, has been arrested following reports that a woman in her 30s had been assaulted inside the hospital building. Bellend of Little Braes, Harlow, appeared at Chelmsford Magistrates Court on Monday and was remanded into custody until he is due to appear at Chelmsford Crown Court on May the 4th. A short but nonetheless shocking report that I will follow up on when new information is available. Love Island. A show that makes people want to commit crimes in order to get away from having to see it or hear it. Well, it seems it's not only those who watch it that need locking up, but those who take part in it too. 24-year-old former Greater Manchester Police Constable Mike Boateng, I don't know if that's how you pronounce it, but that's how I'm pronouncing it, who quit the force after 3 years in order to appear in the mind-numbing show, is to face a special case of misconduct hearing on the 16th of April, after an investigation was carried out by the force's Professional Standards branch, following allegations of improper conduct during his time as a PC. The allegations made in 2018 and 2019 are said to include driving without a licence. Boateng was also accused of telling a 17-year-old girl that he could show her a good time while in his police uniform. The allegation came from Elia Reid, who is now 18, that he asked for her number and instead took her Snapchat details during the alleged incident in Cheetham Hill, July 2018. He is said to have strenuously denied any wrongdoing, and the misconduct hearing is not thought to be related to that particular allegation. The special case gross misconduct hearing will be held at Merseyside Police in relation to the Greater Manchester Police Constable at 10 AM on Thursday the 16th of April and is scheduled to last for just an hour. The hearing will be held via video and audio link. Michael Boateng will answer questions or allegations that his conduct amounts to the breach of the standards of professional behaviour for honesty and integrity and discreditable conduct, contrary to the Police Conduct Regulations 2012. A big thank you to Patreon supporters: Motty Lad, Holly, Adi, Dave, Ian W, Copwatch UK, Dean J, Carl, President Trump, Danielle and Matty Lad, whose support is helping me to continue providing you this daily content, especially as almost every report contains content that's deemed unsuitable for most advertisers. Anyway, that's all I have for you today. Please like, share, comment and subscribe. Let me know your thoughts, as I know many of you will. And until next time, stay safe, look after each other, film the police and other officials.
Good night, all.
Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. If you like the content and you'd like to help support the channel, you can do so. In the description of every video there are some links to ways that you're able to help support the channel so I can continue putting out content. If you're unable to help us in that way, hit that subscribe button up the top there. If you haven't already, become a subscriber. That is support enough. Share the videos, comment, like, it all helps. If you're looking for something else to watch, up top there is my latest video. Down the bottom there is a video that YouTube recommends for you.